Hi everyone, Graham here from the Evans Central Christmas Light Show. It's been a couple of years since I've done a behind the scenes video, so I thought I'd quickly cover off a few things. If you've watched my previous videos, you probably are familiar with this setup and how I go about things, but if you're new, I'll quickly try to cover as much as possible. I might not go into super detail, but you can check out other videos for some of the props and setup that we've had for a while. Nothing there has really changed, but for those who are regular viewers, probably notice a couple of big differences in this year's display, being the 4 arches, they're new this year, and the Hatitude quartets, which are the two singing faces slash spinners in the background there. From the top, I might just cover a few quick commonly asked questions for the display. Firstly, how many lights have I got? There's 16,500 or near enough to individual pixels here. They are all 5 volt. In addition to those pixels, I have still got panels running here, so that's 5x5 for a total of 25 P10 or 10 millimeter spacing panels there. How long does it take to set up? This year I took a week off work, the last week in November, and weather permitting, I was able to get everything pretty much put in place, tested, and connected, and I was up and running by the Sunday, the first Sunday of December, so pretty much on time as I wanted it to be, which is good because the last couple of years have been quite late. How much is my electricity bill in December? To be honest, it's negligible, given that it's summer here in Melbourne, Australia. This time of year it's quite warm, so the AC for the house is the main power consumption at this time of year. The lights are pretty much negligible. They are all 5 volt, so they're all low voltage. This year is the first year that I have gone full 5 volt. The last few years it's been a transition from 12 volt when I started out almost 10 years ago, and last year was the last year that I still had some singing faces, the old ones that were here, and the single arches that are at the front, they were still 12 volt, but now everything is 100% 5 volt. So with that, I might just start looking at a couple of different props and how they're all mounted, just to give you a bit more of a closer details. So these mini trees and stars have been out for a few years. They're just cable tied to a timber frame with some conduit on the back that they're screwed to. These are pretty easy. I've got a sandbag there just to hold that in place. So it's pretty quick and easy if I do need to get garage access for a vehicle. I can just move them out of the way and then I can get into the garage. These chroma presents are new this year. I actually did buy them 2 years ago. I put all the pixels in them 2 years ago, and then never got around to actually deploying them out into the yard. So this is the first time they've actually been in the show. I have had some sort of issue between the medium and the large present. They seem to work on their own, but when they get connected up, there's something wrong. So there may be a dodgy wire somewhere. I couldn't be bothered trouble testing it. Because they're kind of see-through, the ambient light of the rest of the show, particularly from the medium one here, kind of helps reflect and makes it look like the big one is doing something. But with the spray paint that I did just on the ribbon section of these, at least it gives you a nice kind of visual element to look at. I'll quickly jump out to the front here. This is my Tune 2 sign. Previously I had 2x2 P5 indoor panels in them, and then I had to, obviously given indoor, I had to weatherproof them somehow. That's why there's some old silicone on the box, because I had a clear piece of plastic around them. I've since swapped them out for these outdoor rated panels, so these are weatherproof. The back obviously still needs to be weatherproof to protect the power supply and the controller, which is a BeagleBone black and a Octo scroller cape on top, so it's just running FPP. This is purely independent of the rest of the display. It's basically you just apply power, and within 30 seconds the thing just kicks in and just starts looping the 2-minute sequence of the tune to frequency for our radio station. I think there's a Facebook link, and just some public service messages of we're collecting for the Came Out Wishing Tree appeal, so you can pop your change into our letterbox, keep the noise down, keep the driveways clear, that kind of stuff. Do have a little outdoor speaker here, which is connected to a stereo system that's in my garage that is tuned to the broadcast frequency that we're on. This is kept down at a low volume all the time, so basically it's only for people who are walking past here, or if they're getting out of their cars and the kids want to sort of run around on the front lawn here and dance to music, then they can hear that. Quite often people's vehicles, when they turn up and they tune in the car, that's probably louder than what this speaker produces anyway. So this is just purely there so people that are walking by, if there's no cars, they kind of go, oh, there's actually music that these lights are synced to. So that's the only reason that that's there. These candy canes have been with me for a number of years now. Nothing new to report on those. They're still working. I've had to replace 1 or 2 nodes over the years, but apart from that, they still work well. I think they're 99 nodes from memory each. So yeah, all 5 volt, and I just cable tie them to a metal shepherd's hook that just pushes into the ground, and that does a pretty good job of securing those in place. They do flip around a little bit, but once they're secure, they're kind of good to go. These arches are new for this year, as I mentioned. So these arches have all 5 volt nodes in them. If I'll jump around the back, I need to remember how many. There's just over 600. I think there's about 630-ish nodes in all 4 of these arches. So the 4 of those together is, just shy of 2,500 new nodes in the show this year. As with most of my Coro props that are larger, I use a C-channel aluminium frame. I think this is 16 by 12 millimeter frame, just using some electrical conduit offcuts as standoffs. I can drive these feet into the ground. The ground here is a little on a lean, so that's why one end is closer to the ground than the other, just to try and make them look sort of level. And then because these are larger and they probably will wobble around, I'm just using some flat bar here, which I've just angled at the top and at the bottom, and then these are just tent pegged into the ground. That's a system that I use up on the roof here for those props, and I'll talk about those shortly. But basically the power of triangles, you've got a vertical, your angle, and then across essentially of the ground, creates quite a solid base. These, if there is really strong winds, they might wobble a little bit, but they're not going anywhere. They're quite secure. All of these props, so all of the arches, the canes, the presents, and the mini trees across the front, they're all powered and controlled from this control box here. And while I'm talking control boxes, another upgrade that I did this year is changing these enclosures that I'm using. Gone on my old Kmart 7-litre storage containers with some fake Coro presents over the top of them for weather protection. These are waterproof boxes as they are. Just had to install a bunch of cable glands. I've installed some ventilation, and there is a fan in there as well that constantly runs to help keep things cool and the airflow in. But this controller here, as I mentioned, is controlling everything out the front. And this year I've gone with a new control board on the market. This one is called a Baldric 8-port control board by I Light That, based in the UK, but sold and distributed locally here through Hanson Electronics out of Bendigo. This enclosure has, I'm just trying to read it down the bottom, so these are 2 600-watt 5-volt PSUs from Meanwell. There's a going into these fuse boards here, purchased from a DA Share. yes, DA Share up in Queensland, who is a nice Christmas lighting member as well, David Duffy, and then also the Baldrick board as well. Yeah, so trialled this out for the first time this year as it's new to market, and so far so good. It's doing quite well. So all of my control boxes have pretty much been updated to these type. These are the box itself is a large Tactics box from Bunnings here in Australia. Over to the Mega Tree here, you can probably notice that the box itself is also the same as the one I just showed you, but inside there again is two 600 watt power supplies upgraded from last year. The controller for that is a Falcon F16 V2. I think it's the old red board. So that's doing the job of all of these strings as well as the star up the top. The update to this tree this year is previously it was always every second 2-inch spacing. I've now filled that in and it's now 1-inch spacing for the whole lot. So it's still the same amount of strands, so there's still 20 strands, but now each of them has essentially double the amount of nodes, so it's double density. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this has turned out. It's given a lot better definition, particularly for text and images on this tree. I'll probably leave it like this for now. I don't think I want to increase the number of strands at this stage. I'm happy with how that's going. Pivot around here to the P10 panels. This has been here for a long time. I'm really surprised that it's still working in its original format. It's 5x5 P10 panels. They are indoor, which is why they're in a frame and covered in plastic. The board has sagged a little bit, so there is a little bit of misalignment, but for most people they really can't tell the difference. This is really good at displaying videos as well as part of the sequences. It's running also like the other Tune 2 sign. It's a Beaglebone Black with a Octo scroller cape on top. Here's a little fun fact. The FPP software that's on here is version 1.5 from many years ago. It's running in bridge mode. I'm of the opinion of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and this is still working, so I have not felt the need to upgrade to FPP 7.5 or 8 point whatever we're up to now here in December 2024. But yeah, that's still running version 1.5 for those who are remotely interested. Merry Christmas letters. These have been here for a little while now, going strong. I might need to address some power injection, how I've done that, because as I've been getting larger props with more pixels in them, I've been getting a bit better at how I do my pixel power injection. These were sort of one of the first larger pixel count items, and sometimes you can tell when I put it onto all white for the display, these come up a little yellow in patches, so I'll need to address that. But that's the downside of the 5-volt system, I guess. Same thing again, it's still a C-channel frame all along here, although this time I've just driven in some tomato stakes into the ground and zip tied it to that. Whilst I'm still out in the yard, I'll just quickly jump over here before I move into the rest of things. So these column matrices, again, all 5 volts. This is quite thin material, so these do have a tendency to pop out pretty easily, so I'm forever sort of running around and popping some back in that might have, like these couple here, just poke them back in again. But yeah, these go really well. They're fairly easy to store because they're fairly flat. They just go inside in my man cave out the back, and yeah, they just they do really well at helping to fill in sort of a lot of spare space on the house, and gives brings a lot of the 3D whole house effects together using those. Just a simple conduit frame, lots of cable ties, job done really. That is the same material that these gutter matrix is. This is the second year that these up. I got these last year as one of the new additions. and it's been really simple just to pop them back up again, and away we go. I do use for these ones though, if I can get a shot behind here, so you'll notice these are square nodes. They're still 5V, but yeah, using square nodes because these do sit in and grip into this material much better than these ones here. At least here I can easily sort of pick these and pull them through if I need to, but given these are up on the gutters, it's a little harder to get to without a ladder. You'll notice some sort of red and black clips. They are 3D printed, so it's just using PETG clips that hang over the gutter themselves. They then screw into the conduit saddles. Hopefully I can get a shot of one here without blinding you. Let me zoom in. So you can see that the red 3D clip there is screwed into a saddle clip, and then that just holds onto the conduit frame. And these are done quite well. New props are these two here, which are the Hatitude Quartets. Quartet meaning that there's 4 different sort of functions. There's multiple different faces for submodels. There's a reindeer, there's light bulbs, there's a tree, there's other just sort of static faces, and then of course there's spinner arms and different variations of those as well. So they've done really well at sort of filling in this space and replacing my old 12V singing faces that were here. Again, the power of triangles to hold these up is the not conduit, sorry, I use conduit standoffs again to give me clearance between the frame and the nodes themselves if I need to do some repairs. And then this is just the C-channel aluminium frames. Down the bottom, I'm using sandbags here to actually help weight them because weren't able to secure these into the ground or onto the house at all. So these are mobile, but with just 4 sandbags from Amazon and 1 bag of 20 kilo sand from Bunnings, evenly distributed. So basically both of these have 10 kilos of weight at the back of them holding them down, and I can push these quite well and they really don't go anywhere. This is obviously undercover and out of the elements and a lot of the weather anyway, but just in case it does get really windy and it starts whipping up under this porch here, these are not going anywhere. So they've been a really great new addition to the display. Just here is another one of the new enclosures, but this one is just for power injection. So there's no controller board here. It's purely just 2 power supplies with the fuse boards here. That's just providing power injection to most of the props that are up here on the house. So it's powering or helping to power these 2 props. It's powering a large section of the gutters. It's powering this column here, and it's powering the letters as well. The garage matrix, which was new last year, it was a late deployment last year, but it's this has been a common positive feedback from visitors and other Blinky enthusiasts who are really impressed with how this come out, and I'm super happy with how it's come out. Essentially, these are 2-inch spacing on these large panels, so it's 3 panels all up. So there's 1 on this side, 1 on that side, and then the 3rd one is cut in half. And then this is attached to just some temp fencing. I've got some bolts down the bottom there that just sort of clip into the gap in the concrete there. Just use a bungee cord at the top just to hold them together so they don't flap about if it's a bit windy, but it means I can just easily undo those, swing them out, because they are on these brackets which are attached to the house, but they come out quite easily, so they're not left there all year. And then that means that they can swing out. I can get to them for maintenance, get into the garage to get through to the backyard, etc. What's powering these is there's two enclosures that are hanging off the fence panels here. So there's the main one here, which has two power supplies in it, and then there's another one over here which has two power supplies in it. They're not maxed out. There is possibility that I could use the controller in here, which is a Allen Hansen HE123 and an expander in order to get over to the other side. So it's using cat cable between the left side and the right side to get the data over to the receiver on there. But yeah, there's a lot of room for expansion. So if I wanted to maybe put more items up on the roof, I could maybe run them from here, or if I wanted to do some other props maybe on the driveway, I could maybe run them from there too. So yeah, so I've got a bit more room to move there. Over on the right hand side, it's just a different color box, but it's exactly the same as the others. It's just tan instead of black. But this is receiver for the Falcon F16 V3, which is the main show player, and that is located under this tired looking, after many years, Christmas present. And here is basically the main show, which I'm still using the old Kmart tubs, but because I've got it covered, it's still lasting. Another thing I'll notice as well is power. So I'm using a lot of these Genio Mirabella timers, so they can be set to a schedule, and once they're set, they just turn on and off as you need to before the show starts and when the show finishes. It also means that I can use my phone to turn them on and off to power cycle if something is not quite working right, or if I need to do testing outside of the schedule, I can just turn them on whenever I want, just from my phone. But it also means I can do that when I'm even not home. If something I notice on my security cameras is not working, I can just power cycle or turn things off if things get a little unruly. Quickly, just got a couple of stars here, the Kmart stars. These are some of my first props I ever did in 5V. Now let's go to the roof. So I just wanted to cover off what's on the roof and how I attach things. So all the lights are attached to chroma trim, and that chroma trim is then attached to electrical conduit, and that electrical conduit is then attached to cable tie mounts, which I've previously siliconed onto all the roof line ridges. So they usually last sort of 2 to 4 seasons, those mounts, before I need to start replacing them. But yeah, 2 to 3 mounting points per section keeps everything in where it needs to be. The larger props though, a similar mounting system to what I've done on the arches previously discussed. So I have these flat bars that go under the tiles, and then they're bolted in to the roof itself. And then yeah, just using C-channel aluminium frames attached to the props, which are then attached to timber, and that timber is then attached to some solar panel brackets that are permanently on the roof all year. Now I've just quickly jumped inside the garage here, and this is the central operating system, if you like, of the entire show. And that is it there. Hand for scale. I didn't have a banana handy, sorry. But that is a Raspberry Pi I think it's a B3 Plus actually. So it's still a few years old, but that microcomputer controls the entire show. Basically, all of the sequences get uploaded onto software called Falcon Pi Player, FPP, and then that outputs onto this network switch. And then you'll see there's a whole bunch of cables that go out to different controllers out in the yard and the roof, etc., which is where they get all their data information. Again, I've got a one of these Genio switches here that is powering all the power supplies and our FM transmitter. So they are on a timer, but the switch and the Pi here are on 24/7. I never switch them off. It means that I can dial into this and update show schedules. I can update new sequences if I re-render them, or if I add new new songs, etc. It's always on. I don't have to power cycle it all the time. It's just always on and ready to go. It's only the power for the controllers and power supplies, and for the radio here, the FM transmitter, for people to tune in. That's the ones that will get turned on and off each night. So that is the brains of the whole operation, just in this little box here. So everyone, that's everything for the display this year. Hopefully I've covered all the bits and pieces that you wanted to know. If there's anything more specific that you wanted to learn about my display, feel free to leave a comment at the bottom of this video, either on YouTube or Facebook. You can follow us on Facebook at Evans Central Christmas Lights. If you're interested in this hobby and want to get into it, then I thoroughly suggest that you register at ozchristmaslighting.com. There is a 101 manual there, which is, even though it's a little old and we're still trying to get it updated, it covers pretty much every aspect of the hobby if you want to get into. Obviously today I've just covered off the props themselves, the lights and some of the controllers and things like that, but it goes very much into detail around networking and power supplies and wiring and the sequencing part of things, which I haven't really talked about today, and yeah, lots of other elements that are needed to put on a show similar to this. I started out 10 years ago with just the roof outlines. That's all I had, and they were dumb. What were they called? Dumb strip, which is just the whole section lights up the one colour. You could change what colour it was and when it changed, but the whole section lit up in that colour. So I only had about 10 sections, I think, that I could control, 10 segments. Fast forward 10 years later, and I now have 16,500 sections, if you like, or individual bulbs that I can now change. So the display has come a long way, and I guess I just want to give a quick shout out to my wife and family who put up with all this nonsense all throughout the year as I keep getting deliveries and push pixels and go missing outside troubleshooting things throughout the year, and also putting up with all of the visitors that want to come around and enjoy the lights as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, and Merry Christmas. Speak soon.